program roll out.
One of the things, Jason, that really makes this scholarship unique to Utah State University is the fact that really what we're telling these wonderful students and the communities that they reside in is that Utah State University is making this available to you wherever you're at within our state.
Wagner explained it doesn't necessarily mean having to come to the Logan campus or even one of the satellite campuses in the state, although he said they'd love for you to come to one of the campuses. If you're not able to or just want to stay in your community, they will make that possible.
So a student would qualify if they are part of a federally recognized tribe that is either located within the state of Utah or is adjacent to it. And if they're part of that tribe, then yes, this student scholarship will cover tuition as well as student fees.
You can get more information by viewing the press release from mid-May at usu.edu/today. KVNU News Time is 4:06. KVNU weather tonight, becoming mostly clear later tonight, low in the upper 40s. And then on Wednesday, a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, high around 80. Better chance of storms on Thursday. It's been to 77. Right now it's 74 at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by The Lawn Doctor. The Lawn Doctor's 2-service soil enrichment program will help increase the size and number of roots in your grass. Call 753-LAWN to find out more.
This is David from Roof Rescue. This past winter in Cache Valley was the worst in recent memory, reminding us of the sheer power of Mother Nature. Snow, ice dams, and record low temperatures left behind a trail of leaks, broken gutters, and damaged roofs. Let's get those issues inspected and addressed so that when next winter comes around, you can focus your attention on your family, the holidays, and winter activities instead of leaks, drips, and ice dams. Call today for your complimentary inspection at 435-999-4268 or visit us at roofrescueusa.com. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
KVNU News Time is 4:07. The Cache County School District Board of Education announced Todd McKee as the district's new superintendent to succeed Superintendent Steve Norton effective July 1st. McKee taught for 5 years in a suburban public high school in Oregon where he implemented and coordinated the International Baccalaureate Diploma as a district magnet program. He later joined the Beaverton School District in Beaverton, Oregon in 2006 as the principal of Sunset School, which during his time as principal, the school achieved an outstanding rating from the State Office of Education. McKee completed his doctoral work at the University of Oregon, focusing on the early identification of students at risk of dropping out of high school in 2009, which allowed him to present and teach future administrators in a number of university programs. He moved to Provo in 2011 to serve as principal of Timpview High School in the Provo City School District for 5 years. In 2015, Timpview was selected as the best high school in the state by U.S. News and World Report. In 2016, McKee was appointed as the Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Education in the Provo District, and McKee replaces Norton, who retired after 27 years at the helm of the district. And the Westside School District announced Tyler Telford as the district's new superintendent to succeed Superintendent Spencer Barzee in late April. According to Barzee, he's great. He's been around a long time, and he's well trusted and experienced. The decision came after Barzee accepted a position with the Idaho State Department of Education to be the director of the Eastern Idaho Regional Support Services. Barzee said although leaving the district was one of the toughest decisions he's made, he felt comfortable leaving the position with Telford, the other supervisors, secretaries, and districts in the state, or in the district, that is. After the announcement, some parents voiced their concerns about Telford's 2 misdemeanor theft charges. In 2020, the Bannock County prosecutor charged Telford with 2 misdemeanor counts of theft pettit, 1 felony count of acquired financial transaction card with intent to defraud, and 1 felony count of grand theft of check order for payment from bank or account. Both felony charges were later dismissed, but Telford pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor theft charges last year and received 24 months of probation and 40 hours of community service, which he completed in Franklin County last summer, according to court documents. Barzee declined to comment on the legal issues, but sent CashValleyDaily.com a statement from the Westside School District Board of Education, which states the board had fully investigated and vetted Telford in regards to the scenario. The statement also said Telford had been upfront about the issues from the beginning of the hiring process. KVNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic has an experienced and caring team of physicians and staff to assist you with all of your ear, nose, and throat concerns, including head and neck surgery. Doctors Kaiser and Wilson and their staff at Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic will work together to provide excellent care and support throughout the entire surgery process, from your pre-op visit to your full recovery. And they accept all insurance. For more information about Doctors Kaiser or Wilson, search Budge Clinic ENT or call 435-716-1420. Local care with Intermountain expertise.
I lived alone and was having problems with my landlord. He's a creep. One night I'm watching TV and I hear my landlord letting himself in. Hey, get out. You can't keep coming in.
I'm just here to fix your fridge and spend some time together.
Get out. I'm reporting you.
Don't make a federal case of it.
A federal case? Sexual harassment in housing is against federal law. If you are harassed, file a complaint with HUD. Go to HUD.gov/fair housing. If you fear for your safety, call 911. Fair housing. The law is on your side. A message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
We are there in your community. Small business owners, mechanics, police officers, homemakers. And we are there serving our nation in the Air Force Reserve. When medical emergencies arise, we meet the challenge. In cybersecurity, protecting and defending in cyberspace. When natural disasters happen, we are there in space. As a strong part of the nation's defense, we are there in the community and we are there for our nation. We share a vision to make a difference, united and focused, taking pride in being there in service of our country. We are Reserve Citizen Airmen, and we are there with over 180 different jobs to serve your country. Air Force Reserve.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cash Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People, Tuesday, May 30th. Welcome back, everyone, from a long weekend. Hope you've all enjoyed, if you had 3 days off, I hope you all enjoyed your 3 days and your first day back at work. So far, I'm not. It's always harder for me to get back into the groove after a little bit of a break, but 3 days.
You stay in weekend mode even on Tuesday. It's like, well,
yeah.
Just think I'll head to the lake again. Oh, wait, it's Tuesday. Oh, I can't.
Yeah, just kind of go back into it and pretend everything's fine. Sometimes after a long weekend, it's a little bit hard to remember schedules and things like that as well. And I noticed some of that out there today. Saw one of my neighbors was just scrambling as the garbage truck was coming up the road, running down his driveway, trying to get that can out there in time. So, but For a lot of people, Memorial Day is officially the start of summer. And if you were up in the canyons at all over the weekend, it was pretty apparent that many people were feeling that way. A lot of folks out with tents and trailers, a lot of traffic in the canyons. So starting things off here today with just a little bit of a reminder, I finally had a chance to go check it out myself, and it is no joke. Last week we got the news that Logan City was restricting access, recreational access to the Logan River within city boundaries, of course, the only jurisdiction they have, but this applies to the Logan River in general. It is, wow, it's a sight to see. Just some of those areas around the dog park and river walk on the south side of the golf course, you can really see the power of this thing coming down right now. And, yeah, take it seriously. They're asking people to obviously stay off the river, kayakers, etc. But they're also asking folks to stay back from the bank quite a distance, in fact. The river can actually wash under the bank, and that's not something you can always see. And you step up onto that, and it goes out from underneath you, and suddenly you're in the river, along with a lot of dirt and rocks and fairly large sticks. If you sat and watched any of these rivers for a little while. Story from the Blacksmith Fork River. Hiram City workers were there. They have a pump facility on the far side of the river from a public camping area that was formerly the location of the CC camp, as it's known. This was, going all the way back to FDR legislation and the Conservation Corps putting people back to work. There was at one point an established camp there. The foundations can still be found in the high grass in parts. It's now a public camping area, and the river takes a sharp bend there, and it was starting to wash some of the roadway out that they use on the far side of the river to access this pumping station, Hiram City. And so they were bouldering. They were taking large boulders that the city had stored for quite some time for this very purpose, and they were placing them on the bank of the river so the water would crash against those instead of washing away the road. And as they were doing that, one of the employees glanced up at the river, saw something in the river, glanced up in time to see, and we're not talking a little, camp stove propane tank. We're talking a propane tank that would be attached to a cabin or something like that, just rolling its way down the river in front of them. That's not how much power there is to these things. So they said they couldn't do a thing about it. All they could do is watch this go by, and then it disappeared in deeper water. They didn't see it again, hoping that as the river clears, this is going to turn up, probably, in someone's field out there. Yeah, that's just a story that really kind of rams home how powerful these waters are right now. Now, the Blacksmith Fork River has peaked and is on the downward trend at this point, kind of the opposite for the Logan River. Though it's still up in the air whether we hit peak or not this weekend. It hasn't come down a lot, if it has come down at all, and it is pretty intense to see. So I took a look at some of the areas up in the canyon as well, and yeah, you just want to stay away from this. Also in the news, another tragedy. This is, I think, the second on the Jordan River in Salt Lake, but yet another person believed to be lost to that river, which is a slower-moving river but in general, but is not right now. And this was a situation where, just as I was describing, individual stepped up to the edge of the river. The river had undercut the bank, and her weight on the river, just the weight of a human body, was enough to cave that in. She plunged into the river, and people who were with her ran down along the river, tried to help with sticks and throwing some things out that she could maybe grab to float, and then they said they just saw her disappear into the water, go under, and she has not been found yet. So rivers are still dangerous out there, and again, Logan River, a lot of snow to still melt up there in the canyons, so it may be a while before that river is safe for recreation or to even be standing close to. As far as floods in the valley, though, no new floods to report. Some of the areas that had been flooding no longer are, especially those along the Blacksmith Fork River through Millville and places like that. In Nibley there, roadway was flooding every day in the mornings, creating a driving hazard. That's no longer happening. but the Logan River depth is still somewhere between 5.5 and 6 feet. And again, water managers not yet reporting whether they've seen any decline in this at all. So take it seriously. The executive order from Logan City Mayor Holly Daines lasts for 30 days, but can be rescinded before then should water levels come down. And full details on the Logan closing recreational access to Logan River and its banks within city limits can be found at cachevalleydaily.com. And we'll be back right after this.
Here's Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
The way you water your lawn makes a big difference. Water restrictions and water costs have both increased over the last few years. The Lawn Doctor offers a popular service to help keep your lawn green and healthy while watering less. One application of our HydroGuard service reduces your watering frequency by up to 1 day a week, saving you water and money.
Watering help, weed, fertilizer, and pest control. Call the Lawn Doctor at 753-LAWN or go to lawndoctor.com.
Hello, this is Deputy Solanoa from the Cache County Sheriff's Office inviting you to join us for the annual Special Olympics Torch Run, Monday, June 5th from 6:30 to 7:30 at Merlin Olson Park. Come run with local first responders, Special Olympic athletes, and more. To participate, just purchase a Torch Run t-shirt. The link and more information can be found on Facebook by searching Cache County Special Olympics Torch Run. There will be a pizza party immediately after. Plan to join us Monday, June 5th from 6:30 to 7:30 at Merlin Olson Park for the annual Special Olympics Torch Run.
The United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and the largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. The USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal agencies with free safety equipment donations and officer survival training, along with cash donations to families of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty, college scholarships for the children of law enforcement, a citizen awareness program, and more. For more information on the USDSA and how you can help, visit usdeputy.org.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Cool story in the Salt Lake Tribune today about a one-time Utah meat packer and butcher who, I mean, there was no reason for anyone to be keeping tabs on this guy. He was just a Utahn. And he popped up recently, though, and some locals actually recognized his name, a unique name. His name is Nefi D. Aquino. And he was a farmer until about his 40s, and then went into meat packing and then spent some time as a local butcher. He was also, throughout Utah, lived in various cities here in Utah. But the reason he popped up again is there was a news report out of Mexico. A news report out of Mexico about a man whose sole job for the Mexican government is keeping tabs on the Popocatépetl volcano. And that's when some locals in Salt Lake recognized Nefi and said, since he shut down his business and moved, they had no idea where he went. Well, that's apparently where he went. When the volcano reawakened in 1994, Mexican scientists needed people in the area who could be their eyes and ears watching this volcano. And state police in the area where Nefi was originally born before his family immigrated to the U.S. when he was just a child, they got a hold of him, basically. And again, he had no specific experience on this other than he had an eye for photography. He had worked as a police officer. He'd gone back to Mexico at this point and been working as a police officer. And for about 3 decades now, since he disappeared in the 90s from here in Utah, his family moved. He's been taking care of, he says, the volcano, known as El Popo by the locals. And for about 23 years now, he's been sending scientists daily photographs. And again, the reason he got this job is he had an eye for photography and had taken some classes while here in the U.S. as a young teen and as an adult. And he had sold some to friends back in the village where he'd grown up. And people thought he had a keen eye for these types of things, and that's what the Mexican scientists were looking for. So he was at this point 70 years old and looks a lot like Clint Eastwood, to be honest with you, to describe the photo here. But he now has one of the most unique jobs on the planet. Every day he goes out and just drives around looking at the volcano. He's been trained at this point on some of the signs of volcano activity increasing, and he drives around looking for this. He says most of the days it feels calm and the job can get a little boring. But he said there are other days when there's activity, and he realizes his job is to give the scientists a warning early enough that they can inform government officials and proper evacuations can be made. He said, I realize, and this perks me right up, that my job, though slow at times, is saving lives. And he had a close call recently with the volcano back in 2013. There was a big week of activity. And Neffy was the first to spot it. He was able to let authorities know. They declared a red alert, and thousands of people were evacuated. In the end, it didn't become an eruption, but his photos became some of the most sought-after photos on the planet after that, because by sheer luck, he happened to be in a spot, that he probably didn't want to be as the volcano activity increased. And he was able to snap some photos. A museum here in Utah, where in the town where he once lived, which is now Murray, there's a little local museum that's actually spotlighting some of his photography, some of the closest photos ever taken to active volcanic activity. But just kind of a cool story. A young man, family immigrated here when he was just a child. He grew up here in Utah, worked as a meat packer and a butcher until his 40s, and then was able to, just kind of retire from that work and go home to his village in Mexico and become a police officer, and now is one of the most famous volcano photographers on the planet. And what a weird job. Can you imagine that? Your alarm goes off.
Like, what do you do for a living?
Get up and shower and head to the volcano. The Salt Tribune story on this is fascinating, though. It describes, how he watches the volcano. And he literally drives around a network of roads through some of the safer, less active areas on the surface of the volcano's hill. So he's literally driving up the side of this thing. He drives around, takes photographs, sends them back to the scientists. The scientists compare photos from day to day, and they can make some predictions on where the activity's moving to.
Hope he has a good life insurance policy.
Yeah, that's
might be kind of tough to get.
That is actually kind of it is detailed in the story, and just like you said, he was uninsurable because of his work, and so the Mexican government is actually picking up the tab for that. As far as health insurance, but also should something happen to him, his wife and kids will get some money from the government. And his job is considered one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, again, because he's driving around on top of what is known to be an active volcano and just taking pictures. So another interesting aspect of this, he talks in the story about how often he has to replace his tires, because these dirt roads that he's driving around on are a little warmer than a lot of others, especially as he gets closer to the volcano. And he said that they go through a set of tires twice a year. He has to replace the tires on the government-issued Jeep that he drives. But what's interesting about this as well is that this is done by machine in a lot of areas. In fact, in Iceland, they have a very complex system of robotic cameras and computerized systems keeping an eye on some of the volcanoes there. And a few years ago, that failed. That system failed. The monitors did not alert residents to increased activity because it was obscured ironically, by the smoke of that increased activity. So the automated system didn't work. In Mexico, they said they took a look at that and decided to do away with a lot of these automated systems for volcano observance, and they are thinking of hiring more individuals to do what this man does. So, again, his name is Nefi de Aquino, grew up here in Utah, worked as a meat packer, was kind of famous in the South Salt Lake area as a butcher for a while, then semi-retired, went home to Mexico, worked as a part-time police officer, and now has the most dangerous job in the world as Mexico's, quote, eyes and ears on the Popocatépetl volcano, which most recently erupted just in 1994 and became really active again in 2013. So hats off to this guy just driving around a volcano every day at 78. It's his age. Cool story.
Wow.
And some great photos he's taken and some photos of him as well. Again, looks a lot like Clint Eastwood in this photo. So check it out. I've linked to the story on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:31, and the news is brought to you by U&I Furniture. A woman was arrested Sunday and accused of shooting at her boyfriend while he was doing yard work. 38-year-old Catherine Martin was booked into the Cache County Jail for investigation of attempted murder, carrying a dangerous weapon, under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and domestic violence in the presence of a child. On Sunday, a man called 911 and reported that his girlfriend had a gun and had shot 3 times at him while he was outside trimming trees, according to the booking affidavit. The man said the woman and her 10-year-old son were inside the home in Nibley. The officer who responded saw 3 recently fired 9mm shell casings on the driveway within 8 feet of each other. The affidavit says that the officer observed a round hole in the front of an old camp trailer near the top of the camper. The hole had fresh splinters and appeared to be recently made. Locally owned and operated Bank of Utah is inviting Utahns to show their Utah by submitting original color photos of their favorite Utah landscapes, and with their friends and family enjoying those landscapes in the bank's 4th annual My Utah Photo Contest, which goes on till July 14th. The bank is kicking off the contest a little earlier this year and hope many will enjoy participating. The first place winner receives $500, and the winning photo will be featured on an electronic billboard. Second and third place winners will receive $300 and $200, respectively. The top 3 photos plus 9 runners-up will be showcased in the bank's annual promotional calendar. All photos may have the opportunity to be highlighted in other Bank of Utah advertising and marketing. And a federal appeals court has breathed new life into a rural Nevada town's unusual bid to halt government repairs to an aging irrigation canal that burst and flooded more than 500 homes in 2008. The town of Fernley, Nevada, and area farmers and ranchers say the renovation that began this year would eliminate leaking water they have used for a century to help fill their wells east of Reno. The government says locals do not have any rights to the water that belongs to the U.S. taxpayers. A federal appeals court recently ordered a lower court to reconsider the case. KVNU News Time is 4:33.
Are you a hot sleeper? Warm summer nights can make it hard to sleep. U&I Furniture recommends sleeping cooler with a gel memory foam mattress. U&I features a copper-infused gel memory foam that helps with coolness and circulation. It moves better with you, giving you the best night's sleep. U&I is also the home of Chair Heaven. There's a reason they sell so many chairs, including recliners. Father's Day is coming up. Plan to take care of Dad with a new recliner. For over 90 years, there's always been a better buy at U&I Furniture, downtown Logan.
The House Rules Committee is reviewing the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which suspends the debt ceiling for 2 years.
Today's bill is a product of compromise and reflects the realities of a divided government. We shouldn't allow that to overshadow what this bill accomplishes.
Chair Tom Cole of Oklahoma, the chair of the House Oversight Committee, says he plans to take steps toward holding FBI Director Chris Wray in contempt of Congress. Republican James Comer says the committee was told the FBI would not provide the unclassified documents the committee requested. Severe weather has forced a ground stop for arriving flights at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport and at Dallas Love Field. An arrest 4 months after the murder of a New Jersey councilwoman, Eunice Jumfor.
The murder has shaken the community, and no arrest will bring back the late councilwoman.
Middlesex County Prosecutor Yolanda Ciccone says the suspect, Rashid Ali Bynum, attended church with Jumfor. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
KVNU weather for tonight becoming mostly clear later on tonight, low in the upper 40s, and then a slight chance of showers and storms in the afternoon, partly cloudy around 80 degrees. Better chance of showers Thursday and Friday in our forecast. 77 has been our high. It's 74 right now at KBNU. Your roof is only as great as its installation. That's why at Roof Rescue they take great pride in carefully and securely installing and repairing your roof with high-quality materials. You can feel confident that your roof is in the right hands when you choose to work with Roof Rescue. Call 435-999-4268. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Branch Office Administrator Whitney Heyer bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of financial advisor Mike Arnold and Edward Jones. After a sigh of relief spurred a positive start, enthusiasm faded a bit through the day with the S&P 500 finishing flat on Tuesday following news that a tentative agreement on the debt limit had been reached in Washington. There was an otherwise very light calendar for data releases, leaving markets focused on moderating inflation, the outlook for the upcoming Fed moves, and a slowing economy. Today, U.S. equities closed mixed. The Dow closed down 51 points at 33,043. The Nasdaq closed up 42 points at 13,017. The S&P 500 closed flat at 4,206, and in the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 3.69%. The price of crude oil is down $2.94 at $69.73, and the spot price of gold is up $15.90 to $1,979. In stocks of local interest, Autoliv was down $1.90 at 82.27. Chevron was down 96 cents at 153.12. Dominion Energy was down 12 cents at 49.74. Home Depot was down 43 cents at 292.40. Kroger was down $1.35 at 45.96. Lowe's was down 82 cents at 205.70. McDonald's was down $1.12 at 284.92. Microsoft was down $1.68 at 331.21. Nucor was down $3.13 at 133.01. Philip Morris was down 63 cents at 90.21. And Walmart finished down 36 cents at 146.06. This has been today's financial market report brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor Mike Arnold, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 135 North Main, Suite 102 in downtown Logan. If you'd like additional information, please contact our branch office at 753-2915.
Do you know a champion in our community? Nominate them for the KVNU Above and Beyond Salute. Every Friday morning at 8:30, we'll spotlight a firefighter, law enforcement officer, healthcare worker, or other deserving individual and give them a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs. Submit your nominations for the Above and Beyond Salute by visiting kvnutalk.com. Help us recognize the champions in our communities. The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU, the voice of Northern Utah.
Back to KVN News for the people. I'm excited about this. We have special guests joining us I just want to throw this out. Sometimes schedules require, people have day jobs, and the timing of our show in the afternoon, if you're trying to get something that was just announced that day for the afternoon show, a lot of times I'm finding out that we have a guest when we've already gone live. No, that's not what happened here, but we do have some names finally. But I'm excited about this. We have representatives of Utah's Insulin for All organization who are part of a upcoming fundraiser this weekend, a big public picnic they have planned to get people out talking about, thinking about, and supporting work and research. And this is a fundraiser for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation of Utah. Every state has its own chapter of this foundation. So joining us, we'll have some kids involved in this, and also our good friend Diana Thomas. So we'll have Grace Thomas, Mariah Peel, and Diana Thomas joining us at the top of hour 2 to talk about this upcoming fundraiser and how you can be a part of it and what it's for, what the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation does and has done in the past. They've been around for a while now. So that event is coming up Saturday. Details on that coming up at 5:10 today. Big news here in Utah with an announcement. Well, okay, back up. The announcement hasn't come yet, but the news has been confirmed that Congressman Chris Stewart of Utah's Second Congressional District, which is basically a chunk of South Salt Lake, Tooele, on down into Cedar City and St. George and everything in between, District 2 in Utah, the lower left side of the state on the map, roughly. But it's right up against, thanks to gerrymandering, all of the congressional districts, but right up against District 4, which exists to dilute Salt Lake City, to be blunt. It means the boundaries are a little weird. So trying to describe the area of the state Chris Stewart represents is complex. So I'll just roughly say it that way. It is the lower left half of the state in District 2. Chris Stewart has been there. He was just reelected to his 6th term, and it's going to be vacant pretty soon. He hasn't made an official statement yet, but his staff confirmed with the Salt Lake Tribune after it was reported today that he was going to be stepping down for just heartbreaking reasons. He's stepping down due to some health issues with his wife. His wife has some health issues, and I could only speculate what those might be or why it means he has to leave his post in the United States House. But that is basically all that's been said at this point. The announcement is expected officially Wednesday, his staff said. And so what does this mean? It means that, yes, there will be a special election in Utah. The last time this happened was 6 years ago in Utah's then 3rd Congressional District. Still the 3rd, but a very different shape back then. And that was when Congressman Jason Chaffetz left his post early to go work for Fox News as a pundit, and that led to some, kerfuffle between the legislature and the governor. You may remember 6 years ago, the governor's office said that under their understanding of the law, speaking with the Attorney General's office, the governor's office got the administrative side of government got to just kind of lay this out. And so they'd be announcing a special election date and primary date and general election date soon, when candidate filing period would begin, all of that. The legislature took issue with this and said, hey, we should be consulted on this. The governor's office said, no, not according to state law. The legislature said, we'll sue. And the governor's office said, bring it. Then the Attorney General, Sean Reyes, stepped in and said, guys, the governor's right. And then it just went on for quite some time. In the meantime, Governor Herbert did set a calendar and schedule for the special election, and the two major parties began candidate selection process shortly after that. Those fireworks are unlikely to play out this time. The legislature has since clarified things a bit, which basically the law now says the governor's office still gets to lay out the timetable for a special election to the United States Congress. It's different if it's the state house. In the state house, the party who held the seat gets to do whatever they want at that point. So if it's a Republican that resigns early or retires early or for some other reason is going to be leaving office early, and then the Republican Party, the county or the state party, they work together and decide what's going to happen. Same if it's a Democrat. But when it's when it's a federal delegate, the governor gets to decide. But the legislature did clarify the law a bit I shouldn't say clarify. They didn't need to clarify it. They changed the law a bit to say they need to be consulted too, because our legislature is a jealous and insecure legislative body, and they just couldn't. It just blew their minds. They weren't consulted by the governor, even though state law says the governor doesn't have to. So. What's going to happen? There's going to be more politics in your summer. On the bright side, this might attract some more attention to the municipal races than would normally be the case. That's what happened 6 years ago, at least, when it played out in a municipal year. When Chaffetz resigned early to go work for Fox, that election did bring a higher turnout to the municipal races. So that's one bright side of this. What does it mean for Utah? Well, it means, like I said, more politics in your summer than you'd expected, because this is going to be a heavily contested race. As soon as we know when candidate filing period is going to open, I would be surprised if there are fewer than 6 somewhat well-known Republicans. Some of the names being thrown about: United States Senate candidate from the last go-round, Becky Edwards. Tina Cannon, though I'm not sure she's in the district on that, but her name has been thrown out. She was also a multiple-time candidate for U.S. House here in the First Congressional District. You don't have to live in the district, and because the district boundaries are so weird, that's a little more forgiven by voters these days. But I think Tina is way outside of the district. I'm not sure about that, but I believe she is. Anyway, her name has been thrown out. For the Democrats, longtime State House Representative Brian King has been discussed, but he is also outside of the district, so I don't think that's going to happen. There are your professional candidates that have been talked about already today. Chris Herod. He's not going to do it. I think he learned his lesson the last and third time that he tried. That he's popular with Republican county delegates, but he doesn't place when it goes to a wider district-wide or statewide election. So, not that he hasn't tried many times over, but yeah. So there's going to be a congressional race in your summer politics. Are you excited about that? Does this make you groan? You're not really going to get a break here in Utah. And it doesn't matter if you don't live in Congressional District 2. You're going to see the ads anyway, and there are going to be a lot of them. And there is going to be a lot of money in this one from the national stage as well. Not that Republican is at risk of losing to a Democrat in this race. It'll go 60-40 for the Republicans in the general election, which I'm guessing will be the November election date, same as the municipal races. But the primary that will likely be, if they hold to the timeline from 6 years ago, it'll be sometime in August that there will be a primary. And like I say, I would be surprised if there are fewer than 6 Republicans vying for the nomination through both trying to get delegates to give them the nomination that way, because there will be a state party vote on this, and then also collecting signatures to get on the ballot even without delegates. It's going to be it's going to get heated. This is a time in the Republican Party when you really have two very aggressive warring factions. I hate that word. Vehemently disagreeing factions. And you can call them whatever you want, but I think an easy way to think about it within the Utah Republican Party right now, you've got sort of the moderate, more traditional Republican delegate, and then you have the far-right delegate, and they've been at loggerheads for a few years now. Well, I mean, longer than that, going more than a decade since the passage of Senate Bill 54, when delegates' relevance within either major party was really watered down by the signature route to the ballot. which I think has proven to be a good thing, considering some of the decisions delegates have made as far as nominees go. Including nominating, if you're a Republican in this state and the delegates nominate someone who literally could have lost to a Democrat, you have to question the system, right? So I think the signature route has led to better candidates for the party, despite the delegates' attempts to make otherwise. And that will be probably the case this time. But the difference this time compared to 6 years ago is everyone's going to be collecting signatures. So there are going to be a few Republicans on that primary ballot in August. Also something to note, the legislature did change the timeline for when you can register as a Republican to vote in a primary. How that might affect this, I have no idea. And the Salt Lake Tribune actually reached out to Rep. Jordan Tusher, the sponsor of that bill, to ask him, and he doesn't know for sure how it will affect that, when a deadline for registration might come. Because according to his law, if you interpret it just by the text of the law alone, it only handles some spring dates, meaning if someone isn't registered right now, they wouldn't be able to register for the upcoming primary, which technically would fail a constitutional challenge if taken to court. So I don't know if there's going to be some amending of that election law in a special session soon or what. We should have some guidance on that as well. But for our listeners in District 2, I know we have some listeners, believe it or not, way out there in Tooele. Congratulations. Your summer, it just got a lot more horse racy with this announcement from Chris Stewart. And again, love him or hate him, it's not something to cheer. It's a sad story. Well, there's no story yet, but sad news, I think, his reasons for leaving. His staff said it simply because of his wife has some health issues, and he needs to leave the job immediately. So, yeah, there you have it. Politics about to get a little more heated this summer. And again, silver lining to this, hopefully even in areas outside of District 2, it maybe pull some more people into voicing their opinion in those municipal races. But that news just today from the Salt Lake Tribune's Brian Schott, who caught wind of it early. An official announcement expected by United States Representative Chris Stewart from Utah's 2nd Congressional District on Wednesday, his staff said, when he'll make an official announcement. Link on our Facebook page, and we'll be back right after this.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
Make laundry a snap with the large load washers and dryers at Mount Logan Laundry. Rather than 8 to 10 loads at home, get the job done in 1 or 2 with their 55 or 80-pound washers and 80-pound dryers that are perfect for sleeping bags, comforters, and other big items. Mount Logan Laundry has free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, plus they're open until midnight. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you want to come and text us, if you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music.
Ah, this is Mommy's jam.
Then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse?
Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam! Ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. We'll be speaking with our local representatives of Insulin for All, a Utah lobby organization fighting for, well, just as the name implies, Insulin for All. And they are hosting a fundraiser this weekend to support the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. A big public picnic is what they have planned. How you can be a part of it, what the foundation is all about, what Utah Insulin for All is all about, that's coming up in hour 2 of today's show. Wrapping up hour 1, I was just talking to Bill about this a little bit during the break. I normally, other than scanning the headline and the first few paragraphs, don't pay attention to hyper-local stories from other states, and especially one that was, already several days old. But the story out of Davenport, Iowa, a 6-story building partially collapsed Sunday afternoon. And that in and of itself is kind of noteworthy. It was inhabited at the time. There were people living there. And so rescue attempts were made throughout Sunday. And that made some headlines. I think it was on CNN a bit even. And then just kind of went away. And officials had announced that this morning, Tuesday morning, they were going to be demolishing the rest of the building because obviously it's a safety risk. The middle section of this old apartment building had just collapsed. So that's when someone crawled out of the rubble. During a search Tuesday afternoon, after the survivor crawled out, amateur searchers alongside professional search and rescue crews, trained search and rescue crews, they found several animals. They have not found any additional human survivors in the rubble. The animals were delivered to Scott County Humane Society, and they will try to reunite them with their families. But the community at this point has come out, and some of the video and photos of this are just amazing. The community literally surrounding this building. City officials are not allowing them to go in and search for missing loved ones. 5 people still missing. The city Monday had said there was no credible reason to believe that the 5 people remaining unaccounted for, that they were still in the building. In fact, the mayor said that's an unthinkable situation, saying they'd done a thorough search. And then again, someone crawled out this morning as the city was making plans to demolish the rest of the building. The community is outraged, accusing the city of just making a half-butt effort to search this building. The city responding, saying, they searched as much as possible considering the dangerous situation. I mean, the middle of this building collapsed. It's not a safe building to be running up and down the stairs in.
Kind of reminiscent of what happened. What was that in Miami?
Yeah. When was that a full building? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think full, but a sizable chunk of it.
Yeah, that was. But again, the scandal here, and city officials of this Iowa city had said Monday they were going to move ahead with demolition early Tuesday morning. But now instead of demolition, officials said they are relaunching search and rescue efforts after the city had said no one's in there. A survivor crawled out Tuesday morning, and some passerbyers noticed, some workers prepping for the demolition noticed. And so the city under fire now for what they had called extensive rescue operations, obviously not being as thorough as they should have. And then it came out that they're bringing in a team of service dogs trained to locate victims in a situation like this. And that's when the city confessed they had not done this yet.
Wow.
So, yeah, people are understandably very upset. Police were called out and at first tried to keep protesters back from the entire block around the building. That didn't work, but they are, at this point, because of a fence, keeping people back from the building itself. Residents are demanding that if the city won't do it, they want to go in and search for the missing loved ones themselves. The city is saying no, and Davenport is a city in Iowa's Scott County, which is just along the banks of the Mississippi River. The building housed a total of 84 apartments, residential and commercial leases. And as of yet, the cause of the collapse is unknown. It was recently certified as safe by city inspectors October of last year. So, but man, what a story. Residents having to tell their city not to finish knocking a building down when there is good evidence, since one crawled out this morning, there are survivors still inside. Hour 2 of today's show.